Hello everyone, we're into a brand new week. We are now just 4 days away from Aberdeen versus Celtic. In other news, it's incredibly cold. I feel like I did the whole freezing gag last week. What I can say is that it's even colder now than it was last week, although I do now have this wonderful Celtic jumper, not an Ange jumper but a Christmas jumper that's keeping me nice and warm in these difficult times. I hear that it's been very cold in Glasgow. One part of Glasgow even reached -9. Okay, as promised, the vast majority of today's video will feature Celtic's most recent signing, our new number 2, Alistair Johnston, who was unveiled yesterday at Celtic Park. And he can talk. We kind of had a feeling we were in for a good time when the written press guys came out and said that he was very impressive and a very good speaker, and that was certainly the case, as you will hear. We'll bring you that later on in the video, just in a few minutes or so. Before then, just a few other wee bits of news as we kind of get up to speed with things ahead of Celtic's big return this weekend. Celtic actually posted a nearly 5-minute training video yesterday. Lennoxtown Unfiltered, they call it. You probably know what it is. It's effectively training footage, but without that annoying background music. There's no music at all, and you can therefore hear some of what is said during Celtic training. To be honest, the video peaked after about 25-30 seconds. When Sead Haksabanovic came out, saw the camera, did this for some reason, whatever that means, and was then told, I think twice by Harry Kewell, to be careful because there was a wee slippy looking bit of ice on the ground. He then proceeded to kind of go over that bit of ice and do a wee daft dance while, playing up for the camera. I would say that if he wasn't a Celtic player and I wasn't concerned about injuries in a key part of the pitch, I would say that he probably deserved to slip in that bit of ice. Maybe even hurt himself a little bit, given that he was just so cocky about the whole thing. Can you tell that I nearly face planted last night in the middle of Glasgow in a bit of black ice? Elsewhere in the video, it was just Celtic training, but it did show Yuki Kobayashi and Alistair Johnston both involved. Callum McGregor was there too, as was Cameron, Carter-Vickers and Aaron Moy, both back from the World Cup. I couldn't see Daisen Maeda, so I'm assuming, given that Japan got to the last 16, he's been given a little bit more time off, although I am now thinking so did Australia with Aaron Moy, and so did USA with Cameron Carter-Vickers. Who knows? Another major absentee from the video, again I couldn't see him at all, was the main man, Ange Postecoglou. Surprisingly, I was kind of waiting for the Ange speech being heard. Maybe he was there and maybe Celtic just didn't want to show that bit. The conclusion I'm coming to was that he was away signing the South Korean striker, so if you want to follow that, fair play as well. Anyway, great to see Celtic back, albeit in snowy conditions, not the same kind of weather that you're seeing in these images, I think from August or September, but yeah, good to see Celtic back and the squad really coming together with new signings, people back for the World Cup, Callum McGregor the captain coming back, and I feel like we're kind of raring to go for the weekend. I miss Tom Rogic a lot. I had to get that out there. And seeing him score a trademark Tom Rogic goal last night for West Brom at Sunderland live on television hasn't helped that at all. Ian Crocker commentating as well. What are the chances of that? Honestly, go and watch that goal. You'll get it on Twitter. It is a sublime, as I say, trademark Tom Rogic goal outside of the foot. And watch that and tell me that you didn't have some sort of weird deja vu going on in your mind that Tom Rogic has scored a goal like that for Celtic in the past, but he's wearing West Brom colours. It's a bizarre experience, but he's off the mark for them, doing Tom Rogic things. Does anyone else miss that guy a lot? I know I don't want to go deep into this, by the way, because I know you want to hear from Alistair Johnston, but I know when you're looking back at things with hindsight, you always maybe feel and remember things a little kind of rosier than they were. And he did have bad games and bad periods, but I miss him so much. That bit of magic that he would produce routinely for us. Do we have anyone capable of doing that at the moment? I miss you a lot, Tom Rogic. If you want to come back in January, even just to do like the half-time draw and maybe do some tricks or something like that, I wouldn't be against that at all. But anyway, let's get on to the start of the show, and hopefully you can perk me up a wee bit now after just getting myself a bit worked up there. Alistair Johnston, here is yesterday's fan media conference. What have the last 10 days been like for you?
Oh yeah, it's been a bit mental, to be honest. Now the Celtic fans have been unbelievable. The welcoming I've got over social media, I mean, they literally have nearly broken my phone, nearly put it out of commission. And of course, getting now into Glasgow, it's been a lot of fun. You're getting recognized in the streets a little bit different than what I'm used to. To keep a low profile, it's pretty difficult, but at the same time, that's what you want. It's pretty cool to feel like you're really a part of something here, and you're not just representing a football club, but you're representing an entire city. So no, it's been a really exciting 10 days, and now we're just looking forward to, kicking on and hopefully getting a first match in a couple of months, in the next couple of months here shortly. So no, just really looking forward to it.
When the report first came out, it was funny because the next game you played at the World Cup was against Croatia, who obviously have a Celtic right back on their books. Were you aware of that at all going into the game? Did you chat to Josip Juranovic at all? I
was aware, and he was great. He was the one that came up to me actually after the match. He found me out, and yeah, just a really good lad. So no, that was a pretty cool moment. And again, he's a top player. He's a really top player. He really impressed me playing against him, and you can just see there's a reason why that he's been an integral part of this Croatia team that is currently a World Cup semi-finalist. He's been one of the top performing players, I think, on that team. We struggled against him as a Canadian team. He caused us a lot of issues. So fair play to him, and I'd love to see him at the end of this weekend lifting up a World Cup. How amazing would that be? So, no, kudos goes out to him. Really good lad, and looking forward to meeting him some more.
Your mum was quoted as saying that you're not the type that gets setbacks and takes them quite easily. You use these knocks to fuel your fire, she says. Can you share some of the challenges that you faced to get here, and what new challenges do you foresee that you'll have to overcome?
Well, that's quite a nice thing for my mum to say. No, there's been a lot. Honestly, I was a late bloomer, so often throughout my childhood, got told no a lot. Got told I wasn't good enough, wasn't big enough, and had to kind of take a different pathway than most players that have probably played for Celtic. I've kind of gone the road less ventured to a degree. But I think, again, if you have a love for the sport and you have a passion for it, you're not really willing to take no as an answer, which I wasn't, just because I love the sport so much. Good things happen because all it takes is one person to say yes and give you a chance. And that's kind of been, I'd say the MO of my career. It's just so far, my young career, it's that I've just kind of rolled with the punches and kept going. And yeah, even if a lot of people said, no, you don't belong, you don't deserve to be here, you just keep going, keep grinding away at it. And, normally good things happen to people who work hard, and that's kind of been what my career's been about so far.
How soon was it after you spoke to Ange initially? Did you feel you wanted to join Celtic? How important was what Ange said to you?
No, immediately. I think when you hear a manager who speaks the same language in terms of what he wants to do and has the same vision of you as a player, that's something that really speaks to you. For me, he was trying to bring in a revolution of young players who had similar aspirations, who had a bit of a chip on their shoulder and, wanted to go out there and prove something, and, the style of football he wants to play, and where he wants to be in Europe. It was something that really kind of, just felt like a perfect fit, to be honest. Oh, sorry, I'm losing my voice here. Oh my goodness. Yeah, if we got any water, that'd be great. My goodness, that cold air out there, the back into the warmth has gotten me here. But yeah, no, it was like I was speaking to someone, cut from the same cloth. So for me, it was just a great fit. And I knew before that Celtic was the club I wanted to go to. And after speaking to him, I said, look, we got to get this done right away. I want to be there. So I was happy we could. And just really happy to be here now.
I've heard you had lied to your national team coach about playing half to get that experience, and you want to challenge yourself by playing there. Could you tell us a bit more about that, and if we want to challenge yourself to do it at Celtic?
Yeah, so that's a great story, actually. John Herdman called me, our national team manager, and he was looking like, look, I think I want to play a back three that would require you playing outside right center back, Alistair. Do you have any experience of that? Like, what are your thoughts on it? And I was going, I really like that idea, I thought it would be a great fit for me and a great chance to, really solidify myself a starting spot on that national team at that point. So, of course, I did what anyone with a sane mind would do and said, yeah, I've played a bit of right center back in my time. Yeah, no, it feels all right. I feel comfortable out there. He went, okay, perfect. And, of course, next camp I went into a couple weeks later, he had me out there, and I went, okay, now I really need to show up. If I don't know what I'm doing out here, it's going to look real bad on myself. But, yeah, no, it was a complete lie. He knows it too now. But, no, it worked out for me because it's been a role that oh, lovely. Thank you. Yeah. Sparklinger still. Oh, that's good. No, it's been a role that I've kind of made my own a little bit with the Canadian national team, and it's that tactical flexibility is kind of what changed us a little bit. We were able now to go from a back three to a back four to a back five all mid-game, and a lot of that goes down to him being really comfortable to move me from right center back to right wing back if needed. So, it's provided a lot of flexibility for us, and, I'm just really happy that, I lied to a national team manager.
Has Ange told you what your role will be at the club?
I think as a fullback, I don't think we're going to be doing any hybrid right center back stuff, but no, he just, he was one that said, look, he wants me here. He thinks I'm a player that fits the DNA of what a Celtic player is. And it's then going to be up to me to go out there and earn some minutes. So that's kind of where we're at right now, and I'm just really excited to get started.
Are there any fullbacks that you model your game on or try to learn from?
So a lot of people have said that I kind of play like Cesar Azpilicueta a little bit. Just as, again, the flexibility he provides, the consistency, the 1v1 defending. He's just so solid week in, week out. I think that's a great player that I would love to try and, continue to model my game after. But there's so many fullbacks now. You can see how just constantly the game's evolving. You see a guy like Trent come in, how he's pinging 80-yard diagonals all the time and crossing balls in from everywhere. And, it's so interesting to see the different kind of fullbacks there are. So I think there's a little bit I want to take from everyone. Honestly, there's been some really good ones that have come through Celtic as well. I think of Kieran Tierney, the first one that pops to my head. Just another guy that just can get up and down the park, fittest guy in the field, and loves to defend. And that's something that I'd love to be. And you can also see his progression he's made at Arsenal, where he's pretty good in the final third. Like, he can put a ball in, he can get involved in the attack, and that's something that I'd love to continue to grow in my game too. So, there's so many different players to look at, and it's cool to see how this position's evolved, especially over the past decade.
Something we've been getting used to here, Alistair, is the inverted fullback role. That fullback coming inside. You've spoken there about playing right centre half in a back three. I spoke to Peter Galindo, Canadian journalist, who was saying that he thought that you'd be the perfect fit here at Celtic. Having that experience at right centre back, do you think the inverted fullback role's right up your street?
Yeah, honestly, when I watch Celtic how they play with those inverted fullbacks, it's something that there's not a lot of clubs in the world that do that. You have to be very possession dominating in that kind of sense to be able to play that. So you look at it, it's probably only really Celtic, Man City that do it on a consistent basis. But I think it really kind of plays into how I like to play the game, just because I grew up being a center mid my entire life. Only until a couple of years ago I moved to right back. So it's not like I feel out of place when I have to tuck into the midfield, and it kind of puts you in range into that left side to be able to hit the diagonal, and it opens up a lot more different kind of opportunities too. And as a defender, having played against it before, it's awful. It's just trying to get your winger to tuck in and defend the inside, and you realize you're giving up your winger out wide. It makes it really difficult to defend, and I think that's something that, just from watching some tape on Celtic, some teams have struggled with it. So it's something that I'm really intrigued with doing too, because I kind of fancy myself as a bit of a soccer fanatic, football fanatic, and I love to study the game, and I think that's something that you can do with fullbacks that can really mess up an opponent. And obviously we've seen that so far this year and previously under Ange. So it'll be cool to be a part of.
Can I just also ask you? You said you've taken a different career path to kind of most football players coming through. Rio Hitate's kind of in a similar mould that you. He came through the university system in Japan, late bloomer. Obviously, you've got a lot of international caps. under your belt. Do you think the system in MLS has suited that to give younger players that experience, obviously with no relegation system, that you can try and break into the first team?
Yeah, it's really different how the MLS is compared to every other league in the world. Obviously, not having relegation and promotion makes things a bit more secure, I guess you could say. To really throw out some youngsters, some younger players that can get a chance. And yeah, it worked out perfectly for me. Often a guy who's gone to university for 4 years and comes in the league still in the MLS, you don't really get a chance just because an MLS team is way more likely to play one of their youngsters coming through their academy, for example. Why would we take a chance on a 21-year-old who we have no affiliation to when we could just go out and give that 17-year-old that's been with us for multiple years a chance at that position. So I got lucky. Honestly, I got drafted to an expansion team, so there was no academy yet. So I was 21 years old and the youngest starter on the team still. So it was kind of funny in that sense that I wasn't even that young, but I was the youngest guy. So I got lucky. But yeah, no, my career path's been completely different than most. But it's good to see that there is still a pathway. There's not just one way. I kind of say with Canada, you don't have to be the Alphonso Davies at 15 years old, being bought pretty much by Bayern Munich. You can go the other way, and so many guys at our national team have done that. Gone the college route, the university way, down south in the U.S. So it's cool to show young footballers, especially in North America, that there's not just one set way to do it. And, hopefully that gives everyone, all those young guys, hope still that just because they haven't made it at the age of 18, 19, that their dream's not done yet.
Obviously, you spoke a lot about the player that you've become, playing different positions and such. I was reading earlier on that you used to play competitive ice hockey. Is there any traits from that's carried over that's kind of moulded you into the football player you've become?
Yeah, I love a tackle. I love the physical play. I like the cold weather too. You'll see the short sleeves will be out. I think that you guys can all get behind that. But no, it's definitely the physical play, I think. That's probably the thing I miss most about playing hockey is just you could just hit a guy and that was perfectly legal. Like that was if you didn't hit a guy, the coach would actually get mad at you when you came onto the bench. But so I try to bring that into how I play football too. Really physical. Every game there's going to be mind games. Myself and the winger, I like to get in their head, and that's kind of something that's just always been growing up in a family of 3 boys where I've just been super competitive for everything, and it's always ended in a shouting match or someone throwing the ball at the other one, and before you know it, we're all getting kicked to our rooms by our moms. So it's stuff like that it's kind of molded me into the player I am today. Extremely physical, extremely competitive, and you'll see that hopefully shortly.
And they also, obviously just back from Qatar, biggest competition in the sport. Do you think that's helped set you up nicely to come here and challenge for trophies, playing competitions like the Champions League? How's that prepared you?
Yeah, I think it just gave me that little bit of that taste of what it means to play on the biggest level when the entire world's watching. And once you get a bit of that, it kind of is a bit of a drug that you just can't get enough of once you start it. So it was exactly that, playing out there, you just want more now. And that's something that actually the manager, when he called me, he said that, look, after you play in the World Cup, you're going to be like, I just want more. I just want more matches like that of that magnitude, playing in front of that many people, and you can just tell how much it means to everyone. And that was something that I said, that's why Celtic is just a perfect fit. You could just see the fan base, the crowd, and then of course, there's European nights that are just top notch. So no, I'm looking forward to all of that, and I think it's already prepared me mentally. It's hard to fully prepare for what Celtic Park's going to look like. But at the same time, it's that's a pretty good stepping stone, I guess you could say, to being ready for this.
Okay, guys.
Cheers, guys.
Thank you for your time.
Some lozenges, of course. Cheers, guys. Nice to meet you guys.
Great to meet you. Yeah, apologies for the ending there. I just felt I had to get a handshake. He's clearly very confident. First thing you see, and even off camera, he's kind of joking about things and chatting to people. Clearly very intelligent as well. Clearly very aware of Celtic's recent past. And I know when every player signs, they say, "Oh, I've known about Celtic forever, and I used to watch games and all that." I get the impression he actually has watched a fair bit of Celtic over the last 5-10 years or whatever. The fact he was able to name check, sorry, that's tabloid patter. The fact he was able to mention Kieran Tierney was interesting. And he mentioned Cesar Azpilicueta as well, the Chelsea Champions League winning captain, as being the player that people kind of compare him to most often in terms of his playing style. And I think Tierney and Azpilicueta are both similar types of players. I'd say they're both players who, without being kind of patronising, get every single bit of quality out of their game. Really strong defensively, give everything in every match, get stuck into the opposition, love a tackle, but also are underrated going forward. And I get the impression that Johnston could be a similar kind of player for Celtic. I really think the fans are going to take to him because of his style with the media, and I think Celtic will have him up doing a lot of media, by the way. Matt O'Reilly might get a wee break now, but also on the pitch he's going to get stuck into players and fans are really going to take to him. Maybe not as much as we did with Kieran Tierney, but I think if he has a similar playing style and produces big moments for us going forward, and wears his heart in his sleeve and all of that stuff, that is what fans like. So I've got a good feeling about Alistair Johnston. He was great yesterday. A couple other things he mentioned that he played centre midfield until about 2 or 3 years ago, I think he said. I didn't know that at all. That fills me with a lot of confidence, given that he's going to play as an inverted right back. The fact that he's been a centre mid, Ange would clearly be aware of that. The scouts would be aware of that, and I think that is promising as well. It's interesting that he mentioned that. And finally, that lovely wee story with Josip Juranovic. We were all watching that Canada-Croatia game, kind of wondering, do these guys know each other? It just shows to me, and maybe we can ask Jackie, Scott or Joe about this, footballers know everything. They know more than they let on in the media, and it was refreshing to hear and see Johnston coming in yesterday and saying, yeah, I was aware of this before the game, and actually Josip Juranovic was clearly aware of it as well, because he came over to me after the match and we had a wee chat. So I thought that was great. Really impressive guy. Well, we're talking about Juranovic, by the way. Good luck to him tonight as Croatia take on Argentina in the World Cup semi-final, which is kind of weird. And it's also going to be maybe a bit of a dilemma for Celtic fans tonight. On one side, we've got Josip Juranovic, a Celtic player, bidding to get to the final of the World Cup, the biggest match in football, which he would obviously start, and he'll start tonight's game as well, versus, alright, not a Celtic story, but a major footballing story, Lionel Messi, with perhaps the fairy tale kind of ending to his career by winning the one trophy of note that he's not won so far in his career. And as I say, it's not a Celtic memory, but it's a guy who will have brought so many people amazing memories over his career. My favourite player of all time. I don't really like to get involved in the GOAT debate because I never saw Maradona, Pele, Cruyff, etc. But for me, Messi, the greatest player I've ever seen, well clear of anyone else, I would say. And if he was to win the World Cup, for me, out with Celtic memories, that would be right up there. Seeing him with that World Cup trophy. And yet tonight, I'm kind of torn, because imagine a Celtic player playing in the World Cup final, what that could do for Juranovic, what it could do for Celtic when we sell him. I don't really know what to do tonight. What is everyone else thinking? Who are you going to be supporting? Looking forward to it anyway. I guess the final will be easier. One final thing before I go. A friend and a big follower of the channel, Dom O'Reilly, is playing a gig at the Garage in Glasgow next Thursday. It's the Stir Crazy Christmas Party. As you can see, it starts at 7 p.m. I'm going, which probably won't persuade you to go as well. I'm not going, definitely not going. So you should probably go, get into the festive spirit, all of that kind of stuff. O'Reilly's a good Celtic name as well. I wonder if we'll get a Matt O'Reilly goal this weekend. Who knows? Maybe from tomorrow onwards we'll start looking ahead to the game against Aberdeen. But yeah, for now, thanks everyone for watching. Thanks Alistair Johnston, and yeah, we'll speak to you tomorrow.